And we're back. All right, so if you're new to this, I'm just sitting here waiting for some questions. Hopefully some good ones. But you never know. Hopefully everything is sounding all right. Hey, Vlad. So, Vlad, what do you do for a living? Since you I mean, I have a weird, hour since I do what I do. Or maybe you're in IT and no one cares what you do. Oh, nice. Can you work from home a lot then, or? So what I just did here now, by the way, I was working on this stretchy E minor pentatonic thing, and I repeated it a few times, but then I felt like, oh, this starts to, it doesn't hurt my hand, but it felt not that comfortable. But I just moved it up a bit to find a more comfortable position. And I think being a bit mindful of that stuff is gonna help you in the long run, so you don't fuck up your left hand. I actually saw an interview with Jason Richardson where he said he basically got tendonitis one of the times at least, or maybe not tendonitis. He hurt himself in the fretting hand, but was working on some big pentatonic thing like this. And he did that for a long time, and he could feel as he did it like, this really kind of burns a bit. But he kept going through it, and then the day after, when he woke up, he could barely use his arm. So don't do that. You I bet if he took that shape and moved it up instead, he would have, you know, he could work on the same technique, the synchronization and all that stuff, but he wouldn't screw his hand up. So, and if a great player like him can hurt himself, we all can. So just be careful. Hey, Ryan. So, Ryan, what do you do for a living? I just asked Vlad. Oh, that makes sense. Hey, Niva, or Nib. It's a secret. Sorry. No, it's not. It's just almost spilled my coffee. Disaster. No, it's a minor pentatonic string skipping thing. And I just said before you came in that I did it down here first, but I felt like kind of a strain in the left hand, and that's a good sign for me to move it up, right? So you can work on the same thing, but just in another key, and you can get all the benefits of working on it, but you don't run the same risk of hurting yourself. So basically just pretty much a complete pentatonic in terms of you have 1, 3, 1 flat 3. I'm in G here, by the way. 1 flat 3, 4, and then we skip the 5th here. You could do that if you want to do like a 3-1-3 shape, but I go straight to this. So I go to flat 7, root, flat 3, 5, flat 7, and 1. That's very nice of you, Ryan. I believe that Per Nilsson from Scar Symmetry, I'm not sure if he's still doing it, but I believe it took care of his mom, who I think I don't know what kind of illness she has, but he was her like that was his job. He got paid by the government to do that. As we're in Sweden, where it's basically like your health insurance, but then instead of having some stranger do it, he did it instead. So, and I think that's amazing. That's so nice. That can't be easy to do. So, all right, Nib. So it's quite easy. You have this fingering on both the A string and the E string, and then this fingering on the middle string. And I'm just doing, well, different patterns really. You can do whatever you want. Yeah, thanks. He passed away like 11 years ago now. So. But anyway, so this next position can be your homework nib. Basically, just go up to the next step in the pentatonic scale on each string. So you have this. It's really only going to be in one new note. These two will remain the same. And then you just add the next note in the scale. Same here. These two remain the same. Add the next note. Same here. And you can, do a lot of things just moving around these two positions, but then you want to move it up and down more. Thanks, Ryan. So hey Sandesh, me always stuck in alternate fast picking. Yeah. Me too. Thing with alternate picking, you have to keep it up, right? So, but even these shapes you can. If you're lucky, you can pick them as well. But what's cool about these, Ryan? What's cool about these, Orion, is that it's not that they're stretchy per se, it's just that you get wider intervals. And in this case, since I'm not adding this note, which is also cool, you can do the full scale like that, but you kind of get it built in that you're not just going up a pentatonic scale, right? You always get this, every third note, you get a wider interval. Vlad, can you do arpeggios with such a shape? Yeah, actually, and this is annoying and stretchy. You do like you see, very annoying. Basically, you do diminished pattern instead, so you have a minor third in between each finger. I don't do that one as much though, because I tend to do just tap that inside. This is kind of a Michael Romeo thing. Right, so you I think the problem with doing these as arpeggios is that when you do the pentatonic, you have the start of an arpeggio here, and then you have the fourth, because if you go to fifth, it's quite dicey. I mean, you can do it. But if I want to go to like a major shape, the stretches become quite annoying. So in this case, I tend to use the Michael Romeo type technique again. So you go. Do that. It is like the Paul Gilbert thing where he goes. But then the trick is try to incorporate it into other, pentatonic stuff. So when you're here, you kind of, the hand is more collected, so to speak. What's cool about these shapes, though, is that, and the same goes with arpeggios. You know when you go A, G, and E. So if you have this shape, now I'm in E minor. When I move it to the E, D, and B, I get the same fingering, which is really good. Because normally this G and B string screws things up, but it screws things up equally here because both possible shapes that you can do in a 6th string crosses that B string boundary, so, or G string boundary rather. You don't need to relearn any shapes. I mean, a comparison would be if you have a major shape here, if I go here, exactly the same notes, but you can see the shape is very different. Here we have like 2 frets on top of each other and a whole step. Here you have like you take these 2 notes here, so that makes it way easier to visualize it. Well, it sounds cool. Is such a voice or something that can be trained to be more comfortable? I'm not sure, to be honest. I think it's more about how you place your hands. Because I'm no doctor, obviously, but I'm not sure you can these tendons and ligaments. I'm not sure you can, Jean-Claude Van Damme them as you could, when you with your legs. So maybe you can do that, but I would be very careful. I know was it Mendelssohn? Yeah, I think it was Mendelssohn, the composer. No, it wasn't. Anyway, I think it was Mendelssohn, but it was one of those composers, and he was friends with Chopin and all that stuff. And he was a really good composer, but he wanted to be like a piano virtuoso, and I think he had smaller hands, so he made some contraption that would work on that he would put on his hands as he was practicing, and he totally screwed up his hands. So yeah, be careful about that. I had another student as well. And I always say he was he was studying to be a doctor in Chicago. Neither of that really adds to the story, but I think the fact that he was studying to be a doctor means he's not a dumbass, right? So basically did this Petrucci rock discipline where you have this shape and you move down a finger each time. And he kept pushing it, and then he felt something pop in the palm of his hand, and to the point where he had to like get an operation. I mean, it wasn't like he was sedated or anything like, but they had to open up his hand and clear up some gunk and whatever. So yeah, I would be careful. So try instead to find like what feels the most comfortable, and then, like I said in the beginning of the stream here, work on those shapes as you practice them. Work on them higher up on the neck, and then if you're recording a solo and you have to do something, you know, a bit stretchier than normal, and if you're warmed up, you're probably fine doing that, you know, 5-10 times. But that's a very big difference from sitting here and like just crushing reps on something. Oh my god, that sounds like a Guitar Bro. Crushing reps, man. Don't do that. And also that's why you have tapping, you know. So you don't need, like I said, I can do these without tapping, but it's not very comfortable. And that, I think that's important as well, to be comfortable with what you're playing. So I would find a way to do it that way. And another thing that probably one of my biggest musical heroes, Frank Gambale, talks about is that because he does a lot of these stretches for his economy picking, and he said like, don't keep the fingers down, and this is something that I've talked about for a long time anyway. So this is another benefit of that. So if you have a pentatonic shape like this and it's really stretchy, I don't think you can hurt yourself just by stretching your hand like this. But I think what happens is when you artificially sort of plant the finger here and then you start pulling on it, I think that's where you can overstretch the tendons and get into trouble. But so if you do this, and just make sure that you release the note, then you're good. Not necessarily. I don't think he did that. He just said he did the exercise and kept going, and then something popped. And maybe that was just, his body and something, maybe done something stupid before that or something. But I think that most of these things happen quickly. Or as in the example of Jason Richardson, where he said and did this, and he felt it as he did it, but he kept going anyway. So never ever push through any kind of pain, or like when you get like some tingling or whatever, don't do that. It's not worth it. I think most of the time when I've heard of students, having done something, is they've kind of known that, okay, this doesn't feel good, but they keep pushing, and then they do that over a few days, and then it gets worse. So super important not to ever do that. And also, just if you let your you can't really see here, but if you let your arms hang, what's the natural position for your wrist when you do that, so you don't overdo it with this thing. Also remember, And I tried this for a while. Rusty Cooler had this. I don't remember what it was called, Monster Legato or something, and it was some workout where we went through all these kind of different shapes, and it was super stretchy and did not feel great. So I did that a couple of times. I was like, nope. I think it's very easy to overdo it. But that's why I think if you practice slowly, that's another benefit of practicing technique in the way that I advise, because I'll doubt anyone would get hurt doing this. But if you're gonna sit there for hours, that's probably not gonna be super great for you. Hey, Jelly. So, Jelly, what do you do for a living? I've asked most people in here now. Yeah, Sean was crazy with the stretches, but also, I mean, he got arthritis, maybe totally unrelated to the stretches, because he didn't look very healthy towards the end. So, yeah, just need to be careful. I would think also that musicians probably, if they do stupid shit like big stretches or pushing through pain, you probably can have better like hand health than normal people, because we get more blood flow since we use our fingers, so our hands in a different way. All right, another one. Vlad, you have a friend. So how's the AI thing? I know you work with AI, Vlad. You allied yourself with the enemy. No. But how do you think? Is it? Have you noticed a difference in your industry now, Jelly and Vlad? The dawn of AI. I mean, I played around with AI quite a bit, but not with music, because I think that's, yeah, I don't like it. But with the whole thing, vibe coding and all that stuff, the Google AI studios. And it's cool, but I would never, as a, total idiot when it comes to programming, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make an app now and sell it on the in the app store, because I have no fucking idea what what I'm doing. And if something goes wrong, I'm gonna be like, hey, I fix it please. And then they're like, yes, it's fixed now, sir. And then it's not fixed at all. I'm like, no, you need to change this. And then, oh yeah, I changed that now. Sorry, my mistake. And then it's no difference. Like, then you're fucked. So. I got approached by some company that like, oh yeah, we saw your YouTube videos. We can make an AI version of you so you can just, keep making videos without doing any work. I'm like, how about no? Could you imagine how weird that would be? And how, yeah, I don't even understand how they, I think that would be hard enough to, probably if you have like a podcast or something would be easy, but like a guitar thing, very strange. I mean, my friend or cousin that I made we made the metronome app together. He's a great programmer, and he uses AI for like making things go quicker, right? And that's different. It's like when I make a lesson and the text part, I can just talk about what I want to include in the text, and then basically have ChatGPT make a version, and then I have to say, no, change this, change that. Make sure that because I can see the output and I can judge it and make sure that it's correct and that it's to my liking. And that saves so much time, because I don't have to sit there and think about like, oh, what would be the best way to format this, and what's make it make sense and all that stuff. So I think a lot of that boring work can be outsourced to AI, but if I would have, have my wife like, yeah, baby, can you make a lesson about 3-1-3 arpeggios using ChatGPT? It's like, well, how would she know if it's right or not? And it would be a complete shit show. So yeah, I don't think it's a big risk there. I keep wondering why are we heading toward there? Yeah. Thing is though, now that shit is already exactly, Vlad, but that's the thing. You need the expertise, and I think that can make everything much more effective, and I'm all for that, of course. But I don't, and I think maybe I mentioned it here or somewhere else, but for the biggest drag I had when it came to the composing, because if you don't guys know, I did a lot of orchestral composition for Epidemic Sound, and then I would write everything and do it in score like in Sibelius, and use orchestrate everything. But then the composition was done, but then I had to, since the output from Sibelius wasn't good enough for like a production thing, I had, and obviously there was no budget for a real orchestra. You had to do what they call a mock-up, where like you do it in, where you can see the setup back here. So I would have the score on the tilted screen, and then I would have to play each part in. And me being a shitty piano player, keyboard player, it took a while to do that. Basically, if it took me 12 hours to compose the piece, it would take me another 12 hours to do the mock-up. And I fucking hated the mock-up part, because it was such, hundreds and hundreds of notes to input, and not only input, phrase it as well properly. And it was I didn't like it. So hopefully in a near future, I could take that score and then put it into AI, and it could mock it up for me. That would be awesome, right? So I think there's a lot of good things with AI, but yeah. Let's see, I keep wondering what there was a research recently saying that most programs are actually slower than when vibe coding, while thinking that it speeds them up. Vibe coding is a skill of its own. Yeah. I mean, there might also be how much of a control freak you are, right? If you have to feel like, I have to read every line of code. I think we'll be all right. But when it comes to the AI and Terminator and all that stuff, I've heard so many, very smart people talk about it, and it seems like it is what it is now, because you can't put the genie back in the bottle. No one's gonna go like, yeah, let's not do AI anymore. Let's shut it down. I don't think that will happen at all. So. And now they have, like, from our perspective in sort of the Western world, if let's say the United States decides to, like, yep, we're not going to do AI anymore, it's too dangerous, that's not going to stop Russia or China or whoever to keep doing it. And then if their AI gets to a really crazy point, and AGI and all that stuff, then that's it's almost like the new Cold War with the nuclear stuff in a way. So I think we just need to keep doing it and hope that everything works out great. And AI doesn't just, come up with a solution that, we could actually solve all this climate stuff and, with just getting rid of all the humans. But I think there's quite a few. Yeah, I think so as well, Vlad. But once it gets to the point, if it can get to this point, and some people say it can't get to it, but there's a lot of shit today that if you showed me this 10 years ago, I would be like, what science fiction movie are we in right now? Because like the music, where I remember hearing AI music like, I don't know, 10 years ago, and it was like all MIDI generated, like, oh, this has been trained on all of Bach's music, and then it played it and was like, wow, this sucks. Compare that to what you can do today. It's worlds apart, right? It's kind of like going from Pong into like the best looking Battlefield or whatever best looking video game you have now. In the span of less than 10 years, which is crazy. So yeah. So I think the problem is, from what I've understood, is that if it reaches the a certain amount of self-aware and then being able to actually improve itself, that could be a really good thing or a really bad thing, right? Depending on the perspective that the AI has on humans. And I think they had like a I don't remember where I heard this, but they've seen that it can sort of play coy with how good it is. When it understands it's getting tested, it can sort of dumb itself down, and that's a bit scary. When you're like, no, I'm not smart at all. It's fine. You can just let me do whatever. That's a good point. Uh, hey, I just yeah, it, I've seen quite a few memes like uh, you'd think that like by 2025 we would have flying cars, but instead we have insert whatever that meme maker don't like about current society. Uh, and it's true. I thought people, would be way smarter by now because we have all the information, right? But it seems like people are dumber than ever. Or like the views at least. Like, how to put this? It's like, no, it's my truth. It's like, maybe I'm rigid here, but I feel like no, there is the actual truth, and then it's how you relate to it. But you can't be like, it's my truth. Okay, but we're living in the world, not your world. So I just find that really strange when people have all the information, but they don't want to act on it because it, put whatever label you want on it. It's racist, it's sexist, it's anything ist. And that's crazy to me. Okay. Hey sir, I'm planning to release music next year. I'm having completed 2 songs that put in copyright registration. What do you recommend to become popular? 2 words. OnlyFans. That will make you super popular. No, sorry, seriously. It's you're asking a, shred guitar wanking guy online how to be popular. If I cared about being popular, I probably would have done something else. But I think it's now it seems like the biggest thing you can have as an asset and strength against a record company is how many followers you have. So, I mean, it's not a coincidence that, what's her name? Taylor Swift has a shit ton of followers on Instagram, right? Because, but what, and same thing, didn't Justin Bieber get discovered via YouTube and all that stuff? So, social media, basically. Neil, yeah, I think he says a lot of not so good things as well. Neil deGrasse Tyson, I don't really agree with him. But I heard one thing that Elon Musk said though about flying cars, and in his opinion, that won't happen because it's so impractical in terms of society. But you can imagine, like, if you have flying cars and that, that would be super dangerous unless you want really slow flying cars, but then what's the point, right? So I do think it can be done, but I'm not sure it can be done safely. And I mean, there's a reason why even if you have like a small Cessna plane, you need to have your license, pilot's license, and you have to abide by all the rules, and you have to check in with this tower and that tower, and so you don't get in the way of whatever traffic, as commercial air traffic and stuff like that, or if you have a helicopter license or whatever. So I think the practicalities of it is probably more of a thing than as in if you have a working flying car, like how do you make that safe so you don't have this chaos? I mean, imagine maybe that would be, you wouldn't be allowed to fly in like cities, but imagine like New York with flying cars. Holy shit. That would be crazy. So about the music getting popular, yeah, that's out of my wheelhouse, except for like doing social media things. Anyway, I'm gonna go. But again, if you haven't joined, join now. It's free. And I need to let you in though, but you need to answer 3 questions. And that's just to keep the vile internet marketers out. So it's very easy. Advog Thumb, how do you do this? This is just this harmonics. So you have natural harmonics, right? And that's just, you know, musical physics, the physics of music, and basically you can mimic that by, so you have artificial harmonics where I can go, anything I do here 12 frets up, and I do this more like a classical guitar technique, but you can also just do this. Right, but then with the pick, you kind of do the same. You mute. You get this instead of me using the finger here at certain notes, I use the thumb in front of the pick. So one thing that's important here is to understand where you find these harmonics. So basically, if I want 2 octaves higher, I need to find this note, which would be here, and then another 12 frets up here. So here's the open string, so to speak, the 24th fret. And now I found it here. And if I want to play this note, I can't stay in the same spot. I need to move. The pre-band, that. Actually need to, I never do that. So, but what a lot of people get wrong here when they try to do it, they get it once, and then like, oh, I got it, and then like, hey bro, look at me, and they're like, hey, where is it? Because even if you get the technique right here, if you're in the wrong position in relationship to this note, you're not gonna find it. So you kind of have to move. I'm really ugly sounding up right here. You see, I have to like move with the. And obviously that's not what you normally, but it's a really nice technique. And another thing that I like to do is the hey, aliens are holy, welcome. Where you mirror. If I'm playing the A minor pentatonic here, I can mirror the same thing up here just by hitting the. And a really good musical example of that is check out Electric Gypsy by Andrew Timmons. Because basically after the intro, when it comes into like the verse melody, he uses this a lot. 4 to, yeah, it's cool. How are you doing, man? I'm good. This week I came across a huge insight. Freaking decoupling hands work on synchronization. Been struggling with it for 10 years. I could always finger the patterns, but could never nail it. So I don't try to only practice rhythm with finger hand and change the game for me. Yeah, but that's why I recommend doing, you know, all hammer-ons, because that fixes the timing in the left hand. Because as you noticed, if you can't play in time with the left hand, it doesn't really matter what you do with this hand. But equally, most people have an easier time doing this on a single string, but then getting the synchronization down means that these fingers also need to be in time. And that's, if you get both in time, you should be synchronized. So. Or the picking hand. Let's see, but I can name start with finger hand. Yeah. But well, then it was more of a, you know, timing issue in the right hand. But that's a very, very good thing to do as well. Like where if you have a 3-note per string thing, for example, lets you just go. Then you go like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you just make up something easier here. It's easier to focus on the right hand, or just go. Yeah, he does like all these really weird things. And actually I like this one. I was just confused when you said finger hand. That's, I mean, I don't consider the picking hand to be the finger hand, so maybe I just miswrote. But that's great that you found what worked for you. I've found that like if you focus on accuracy and do a lot of reps, they tend to play together. But it doesn't hurt to really focus on one hand at a time either. Oh, hey, Dota. There you are. Yeah, anyway, so good question. I was just on my way, but if you have any more questions, now would be the time. Otherwise, I'm gonna go and have lunch. Thing is a weird sweep with some hammer-ons in between, so the timing is weird. It's also groups of 2 of 5 and then 4 notes, but all 16, so a weird rhythm. So doing all the picking hand help. Yeah, I think and this is a kind of a Paul Gilbert thing. So when he does this. So we will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But then it will look at just the right hand. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So it would be the picking would be in terms of. So you would just go. If you know what I mean. So that can help a lot. Vlad, how do you keep track of what you practice? Well, these days I don't, in a way, because I just get into this thing that I did. I start working on something that I want to get down, and then I work on that until I'm either super bored. Thank you. I either, you know, do it until I'm super bored and I fucking hate the idea and I just want to move on, or actually get it down and be like, ah, cool. So that's how it goes. So for me, it's more about expanding vocabulary and stuff like that, and also, you know, technique maintenance and it's all kinds of things. So it depends on you know, the period I'm in. But to be honest, I've never done what you do that you should. So Vlad and Jarda are both part of the Practice Room Pro, and Vlad showed me his spreadsheet, which is very IT engineer of you. but anyway, I never kept track of anything like that. So I'm not saying that's bad. Probably, I actually would have liked to have done that from the beginning, because then I could sort of see, oh, I did this and I did that, and I did this, I did that, and, you know, be able to see exactly what I did to get to where I'm at now. I think Steve Weiss talked about, he had a practice notebook where he wrote down everything he ever practiced. So that would be cool. So I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but I'm just saying I never did that. So, yeah, I mean, some people are more, you know, organized like that. I would have, I mean, I have done like a thing where I would be practicing like from 10 to 2 in the morning when I was teaching. I had like close to 60 students per week, like IRL students, 60 minutes each was way too much. But then to get my own practice in, I had to do that in the evening. So when my then wife, or then girlfriend actually, went to bed at 10, I would sit up for another 4 hours and just practice guitar in front of the TV, but having like exercises, and I had like what's it called, graph paper, and I would write down like, oh, I've done 100 reps, 100 reps, 100 reps, and so on. But you know, I just do that to know what I did, and if I'm underplaying some exercise, because I don't remember everything otherwise. Well, the thing, I think when we talked about, Vlad, we're like, oh, I've been doing 20 to 30 minutes on one, you know, these things. What I meant about that is like, no, you do an exercise. This is how I always organize it. So either would be based on like going up in half steps and back down again, done with that exercise. But that the downside to that is that it can take, you know, 5 minutes and, you know, 22 seconds per exercise. It's kind of a weird number, right? And another way to do it is to just use this. I know Petrucci did it, and Rusty Cool and a bunch of others. You just use a timer, and basically you play whatever you practice, whatever you should practice during that time, and then you move on. So I think that's why I like that, because it's easier to sort of schedule. So I would do that. So in that way, I was organized, that I had specific things that I would do, and then whether that was like playing it all over the fretboard or if it was more timed stuff. I remember sitting a lot with like these different arpeggios. like 5 minutes each. I was focusing on like perfect tone and everything. Yeah, so that's in that way I was quite organized, but I did never, saved any of that stuff because a lot of this stuff would be written down if I couldn't remember it. So. Question: how would you approach teaching a total beginner? A friend is asking me to teach this kid. Well, it depends on what they like. But I do think getting into technique very early is what I would do, because if what's holding people back in the beginning is a complete lack of technique, right? So doing something even like getting that, do the very basic things and learning the pentatonic scale, for example, but sitting like this for a while can be good. So anything you do as a beginner can be really good, but you need to find something where they can grasp it. It doesn't help them to be like, oh, start working on a song, but they can't even hit the right string, So I think that's a tricky thing. One thing I would say though, and I had friends, kids who like, little Billy wants to learn to play guitar, and we thought like, well, he gets a nylon string guitar, and it's like, okay, cool. So what music does he like? Metallica. Okay, how about you give him an electric guitar? Because he can play a nylon string guitar until it's blue in the face. It will never sound like an electric guitar. So this is old way of thinking, like, you start with nylon string and then you graduate to an electric. I think no, don't do that. Thanks for the advice and content, John. If you want to hear the piece I'm referring to, Recording the God of Sweep, it's the bridge of John Splash from about 1:30. I can't really, I'll see if I can play it here without screwing something up. Hold on. John Splash. It was 10 years. Oh, 2.2 million views. The only thing that I don't like about this kind of music, and also they sound like what's the name of the band? They're similar. They had this the guy with the neck tats and sweaters. What's the name of the band? Polyphia. There we go. It sounds to me that everything is written in Guitar Pro. If you know what I mean? Yeah, and you might love that sound, but there's something in the sound that gives me a bit of like a ugh. And I'm not shitting on anything in terms of like playing ability and all that stuff. It's just, for me, the music always sounds it's so super quantized, right? Everything is like tick 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 tick. Everything is super quantized and very perfect. So well, he can look however he wants to look. I wouldn't get a neck tat, but it's so even if you're a fan of John or whatever, can you understand what I mean? And that might be what you love about it, but for me, it's always, it sounds so like artificial in a way. I don't know how to describe it. So yeah. Yeah, it sounds sterile. I think it really hit me when I had a student who was really into Polyphia, and then he like, oh, I'm working on this song, and then he played me the Guitar Pro version of it, and I was like, oh, I get it now. And then also I saw like Tim Henson, is his name, where he talked about writing, and that he used Guitar Pro a lot, and then it makes all kinds of sense. So it's yeah, but there you go, and that's totally fine. That you that's what you like about it, and then like I said, that might be what attracts you to it, because that's what makes it stick out in a way, right? So, but I mean, a lot of the stuff that I love, like Frank Gambale, you know, Greg Howe, Vinnie Moore, people who are into the blues, they're like, oh, that's shit, oh, it's so bad. I mean, I see people shitting on Joe Bonamassa because like, oh, he's too good, his technique is too good. It's like, what the fuck, you know. Also, I mean, you know, it's people are gonna like what they like, and that's fine. Yeah, exactly, Vlad. And yeah, I didn't want to say it, but it kind of gives me the Giacomo Turra vibes in terms of how cookie cutter everything is, and it sounds really like, lack of a better word, perfect. And in this song that I heard now, I don't like the clean sound at all. It almost reminds me of. Have you heard like Stanley Jordan when he plays? And he's amazing at that. He solos and comps with, you know, it's 8-finger tapping, but more of like this touch style thing. And then a friend of mine, I was really fascinated about in that style, like right around the time I was going to GIT, because there were some people doing it there as well. But then a friend of mine who was at GIT already, I remember talking to him on the phone from Los Angeles, and he was like, yeah, the tapping thing is really cool when you look at it, but when you listen to it, it just sounds like two guitar players with kind of a weird tone jamming. And when he said that, I was like, fuck, that's it. No, I can't listen to it anymore. Because when you pull back, you're like, oh yeah, it's amazing that you can do it. It's, you know, that's really cool, and it looks super cool when you look at it. But I think sound-wise, most of the time, it sounds like, you know, two good guitar players with bad tone. And once he said that, I was like, shit, I can't listen to this anymore. So yeah, but what the good thing about the Chon stuff and the Polyphia stuff though is it's very easy to learn and practice, because it's so subdivided, and it's so like right. So it's easy to divide it into smaller sections and work on things like that. So that's great, because that's the thing that I find like is tricky with Yngwie or Eddie Van Halen or one of those guys, because they're so free flowing in their phrases. It's rarely like, you know, that you would get even with Petrucci, for example. He would be more on the grid like that, and you know, it's harder to work on. But that's cool. I mean, you know, it's clearly people like it. So, I mean, the irony is not lost to me that it wasn't it Tim Henson who called it boomer bends when people were doing normal bends. It's like, okay, so, and I don't care about that, but it's kind of like It's funny. I need some balls in my playing. You need to have that like good bends and vibrato and some attitude in it. Anyway, have a good one, guys, and